Tonight's informational, we have a presentation by Tom Evans and Jim Warren on revitalizing Norwich as Shakespeare Central through the Destination Theater, the American Global Center. So the floor is yours, and I notice our president of NCDC, Kevin Brown, is with you. So Kevin, if you'd like to go right ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to kick things off and stage set a little bit, we've been at this podium together talking about revitalizing the waterfront and other meetings, and we're at an important inflection point in that 2 CIF grants and a couple of SHIP grants later, we have activity that's about to hit the shovel in the ground, ribbon cutting, sledgehammer to the side of Marina Towers stage. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's right. Well, and so on that note, in your inbox, there's an invite for 4 April to come celebrate all those things. So that's what's been funded with our state and public and private investment collaboration down there, and it's going to be tremendous. In fact, I think in the audience back there is Michael from SLR, who has been recently awarded the contract to be our master planner for all of the things that we already know that we want to do at the waterfront. Along comes this opportunity with our friends Tom and Jim from the American Globe Center. And it could very well be the adjunct effort that really is a game changer for our downtown and revitalizing our downtown. As they told me tonight, this is a 3-year clock. I don't want anybody to think that we're going to put a shovel in the ground on April 4th when we're doing all these other things. But that 3-year clock, we hope, starts this evening, and that's what they're here to motivate and compel everybody that they've got a great idea here. So I'll turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for making the time to join us tonight, and thank you, Kevin, for bringing us here. We really are excited to be here and join you all. The second most important question. Let's start off with, what is the American Globe Center? So the American Globe Center is truly a visionary destination theater that's going to be different from anything else. It's a complete game changer. It's going to be affordable, but the key pieces of the American Globe Center that are exciting to us, and we hope to you, are a recreation of Shakespeare's 1614 Globe Theater. And Jim will discuss why the 1614 Globe is important in just a few minutes. That will be coupled with a complete modern performing arts and education center called the AGC Playhouse, which will have a main stage theater, a smaller black box theater for more smaller scale, smaller audience presentations. It will have a visual arts gallery. It will have event space and multifunction space in it. And it will also be part of a beautiful campus that we think will really highlight the waterfront and downtown and allow us to have gathering spaces, gardens, and green space all working with Michael so that we can generate something truly beautiful down there. So the question is, what does that do for Norwich, right? That's why we're all here tonight to talk to you, and that truly is the most important thing. So the American Globe Center has been a 5-year journey for Jim and I so far. And in that time, we've done a lot of research. We have some folks here that are actually from Stratford, Ontario, and we're going to talk about the Stratford Festival up there in just a little bit. But we've learned from those different theaters, destination theaters around North America, how much revenue can be generated within a town based on having a destination theater in your city. Our projections, conservatively, at 50% ticket attendance, are $131 million in revenue coming into our business and surrounding businesses in Norwich. Tourism, hospitality, et cetera, we think it's going to be a giant lift. Now, that's great, right? But it is a little aspirational. In this case, we also want to make sure we're bringing municipal revenue in directly to you guys. So the key point there is going to be a ticket surcharge of $1 per ticket, which again, will range between $300,000 and $500,000 in municipal revenue. That'll sort of serve as a pilot instead of the property taxes that you may have gained from the parcels that are down there. And we'll talk about the parcels on the waterfront in just a bit. This is a job creator. We're going to have 100 jobs just in the Globe Center, and we're creating jobs for actors that are contract jobs beyond just gig economy. And Jim will talk about that a little more later as well. And we're also going to have a ton of in-house roles in marketing, staffing, tech, all those fun things, as well as folks to run the bookstore, folks to sell tickets, ushers, et cetera. We hope that this will help you guys expand your tax base as well, because we think that we're going to bring our employees to town because they're going to want to live here. And again, we're offering our actors a different type of contract, so they're going to want to move to town, stay in town, raise their families, and bring more folks in as well. The burgeoning business community that's going to grow as a piece of the American Globe Center will also allow us to get more folks moving to town as well and increase the tax base. And we know that you're all on a mission to have a complete renaissance downtown. We'd like to help you with that. We want to bring our money into play. We're raising money with our investors. We'll talk about our investment model in a bit. And we want to use that to help you continue to elevate and raise what you're capable of doing in the downtown, along with NCDC and SLR. This is truly going to be a cultural investment as well, an impact investment, in that we're able to sort of change the face of how our programming can help with arts education, how it can help with cultural impact, and just generally, you know, when you have one of these destination theaters in your city, it transforms the type of folks that are coming to visit. They tend to stay longer, spend more money, et cetera, and they tend to be happy folks that want to just enjoy themselves over a long weekend. We want to bring them to Norwich, and we want to help the people of Norwich enjoy that prosperity as well. We're creating a tourism hub, Shakespeare Central, as Mayor Nystrom mentioned. That's what we want to bring to the table. We want to make the Rose of New England synonymous with Shakespeare and great destination theater of all kinds, because we're going to do more than just Shakespeare. And we'll talk about that in a second. So it is, the heart of the project is the Globe, and Jim will talk about the Globe in just a second and why the 1614 Globe is special. But it's more than just the Globe. It's the Globe plus the other theaters in the Arts Center. It's the Globe plus your beautiful new downtown green space. It's the Globe plus that job creation. It's the Globe plus 131 million in potential economic development dollars coming in the door. It's the Globe plus enhanced education support in the arts, which we all know it's a struggle sometimes to fund those initiatives. We want to bring more to the table to help you there, again, on our dollar. We want to continue to celebrate the amazing culture and heritage of Norwich. It's such a unique place. You know, we got to meet with Bobby when we first got here, and it was so cool to learn how many different cultures are celebrated and thriving here in Norwich, and we think we can help all of them have a home here at the American Globe Center. And we want to do this with a minimum of taxpayer dollars. And when I say minimum, I mean true minimum. We do have a state bond on the table with Catherine Austin, but we do not have any municipal dollars from Norwich embedded in our plan today. We are bringing the money to the table, and we'll talk more about that in just a sec. So I am the numbers guy. Jim's the art, I'm the numbers. And there's a reason for that. I spent a lot of time working in financial services over my career. I've continued to act, direct, and write, but I also have spent time managing many, many multi-million-dollar budgets for major financial services companies and being held accountable for that money. So at the end of the day, being accountable and knowing that our pro forma is going to work is the key thing. We wouldn't be standing in front of you if we didn't think the business was going to make sense. So we had to look at other proven models to see what could work. So we looked at other major destination theaters around North America, and we wanted to take the best of what they offer, but amp it up by creating the Globe as part of that. So having the Globe recreation and using something called Shakespeare's staging conditions, which Jim will talk about in much more detail in just a minute, allows us to amp up that draw. And then we have this really unique concentration in Norwich, that within a 4-hour radius, there are literally thousands and thousands of high schools. There are 4 major cities that have gigantic population centers. So we know that we're going to have an immediate draw just in the region. But when you look at these other theaters, they also bring in folks from all over the country, and in some cases, all over the world. So we took these other models, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, the Utah Shakespeare Festival, the Stratford Festival in Ontario, and the American Shakespeare Center, the American Shakespeare Center in Stanton, which Jim is involved in. He founded that company, and he'll share a little more about that in a second. But we looked at the stats on all of them and what they were able to generate for their communities. I think it's really key. If you take a look at, in 2023, Stratford, Ontario brought in $278 million in economic development to their city. So it's a factual number, right? It's there, and we know that we can attain it. So again, we want to bring that money, and we want to bring that municipal revenue to play as well. So the key in the heart of this is the 1614 Globe, and I'm going to step back and let Jim talk about that a little bit.
So as Tom said, I'm the art guy, I also believe that great art and great business need to go hand in hand. What we're talking about here is an arts project that is an economic engine. And so a lot of our presentation is about the money, but I'm going to talk about the art for a second. So I do not believe the world needs another theater. I believe the world desperately needs this theater. This 1614 Globe Theater. The one that's in London right now is a recreation of the 1599 Globe. That was, Shakespeare built it, Shakespeare's company built it in 1599. It burned down in a fire in 1613, and they rebuilt it. So the way that you can tell the difference between that first globe and the second globe is that the 1614 globe has 2 gables on it as opposed to just one. Shakespeare's company was sponsored by the king by the time they rebuilt it. So this was the fancier one with a tile roof because the other roof caught on fire, and that's what caused that first one to burn. The reason I think the world needs this theater is because Shakespeare's original staging conditions, he wrote for a kind of theater environment that's different than today. The way we do theater 400 years later, we've learned all kinds of cool technical tricks, and we do all kinds of amazing things in theaters nowadays. Shakespeare didn't have any of that. Shakespeare built a theater of the imagination into his plays. And I've spent the last 38 years doing Shakespeare all across this country and into other countries, trying to recreate those staging conditions, thinking that if Shakespeare's the genius that we've been told he is, this genius was writing particular kinds of stuff into his plays that if you perform the plays under the kinds of conditions that he was writing for, then you can uncover some of the magic that's baked into those plays that you sometimes lose when you play with all the cool tricks we've invented in 400 years. So this is the tip of the iceberg about why this theater is so important. So inside that theater, you can see it's shaped like, I call it a 3-story donut. And it's lit by the sun coming through the roof of that place. And you can see that audience members are gathered around 3 sides of that playing area, really tight, and 3 stories up. So everybody was really close, and everybody shared the same light. Genius boy Shakespeare wrote that visible audience into every scene of every play. Actors spoke directly to audience members and included them in the world of the play. You become Henry V's army. You become one of Cleopatra's court. You become Hamlet's confidant because the interaction was designed for the audience to go on the ride with the characters and be a part of the world of the play. That's what our world desperately needs in so many ways with entertainment today. That kind of performance environment creates community. Every single performance, that community goes on a ride. And that's the future of live theater. That's what live theater can do that streaming can't do, that trying to be movies on stage can't do. It's exciting, it's electric, it's not... I studied Shakespeare in high school, and I go to see it, and it's like eating Brussels sprouts or some other food that you may not like. This is fun, butt-gusting comedy and thrilling entertainment. And that's kind of a microcosm for our entire business plan of creating community. We call it going back to the future. Using 400-year-old staging conditions, we create modern, exciting theater that is the future of live theater. And we're going to do that in our Globe. We're going to do that in our indoor playhouse as well. The Globe can only be open a certain number of months because the being open to the sun and the elements. We don't want to do shows during the snowfall. But the indoor playhouse can be open all year round. And trying to be a center for community is what we're looking to be. That's why our name is really important. We're not the American Globe Theater. We're not the American Globe Festival. We're a center for the arts and for education. And we're trying to be third place for as many people as possible. Third place is the third thing in your life. You've got your home and you've got your work and maybe school as your second place. Third place might be your church. For some folks it's their bar. Some folks it's their gym. We want to be the place that people can come and hang out. They can hang out in our lobbies. They can hang out in our cafe. They can hang out on our grounds. They can be a part of downtown Norwich without even having a ticket. And so trying to create that community night after night and a center for everything else that's going on in town that's so cool, we think all starts with that 1614 Globe Theater.
Thanks, Jim. So the beauty of what Jim's talking about with that third place is what we have actually seen happen in London at the Globe in London. So in 2023, there were 1.25 million people that went to the Globe in London. Of those, only 400,000 bought tickets. The rest went to experience the space in general, or maybe they wanted to go to the museum, or maybe they wanted to get a tour, or maybe they just wanted to be there on the banks of the Thames River there, much like we have the Thames River here, which is kind of just amazingly synchronistic, folks. We need to take that in for a second. But we're going to be offering even more ticketed opportunities than the Globe in London does. So there's a tremendous opportunity to bring more people in to see our shows, but we're also going to have architects come, scholars come, theater historians come. This is going to be a draw for more than just theater lovers. It's going to bring people from all over the place, and creating that third space, like Jim said, we get to create a hub downtown where everyone wants to go and walk around and be there. You know, it couples with everything that Kevin's working on, everything that you guys have been focused on for years. It just creates that sense of community right there at the heart of your city. The beauty of having a Globe, like they do in London, having a successful repertory format, like we talked about, repertory doing multiple shows at the same time, so that you have groups of actors who you're seeing regularly. You're seeing them walk around downtown because they live here, and then you're seeing them on stage. It's an amazing experience to see, and then you take all of that, plus that interactive style that Jim was just talking about. We're in that shared light right now, right? I can see you guys, you can see me. We're engaged with each other. This is how Shakespeare works at the AGC, and everyone's a part of the ride, and everyone comes along for the story. So you take all those things together, and we know that this is a fusion model that is bigger and better than anything else that's been created before. And again, that comes back to focusing on the business side of this, right? I love nonprofits and I love what they do, but a lot of them are not run well. It's unfortunate, but true, you know? They have great boards, they have great hearts, but sometimes they just rely on donors, and that is not a dependable model. We saw that fail at the Shakespeare Theater in Stratford. They had one angel donor, and when that donor passed away, the theater went under. We cannot have that. We need to be focused on running this 501c3, which we are, but we're going to run it like a business. We want to make money to reinfuse back into the campus and back into Norwich as a whole. So building that pro forma, and we have a 30-year pro forma planned out, and again, we're very clearly looking at it. We don't go pie in the sky, oh, every seat's going to be sold every night. We look at it from a 50% model. We did that on purpose during the pandemic because we might have only been able to sell 1 out of every 2 seats. But now we know, much like I said in Stratford, Ontario, that folks are coming back in record numbers right now. They want this experience, and we think we can offer it to them here. So taking that proven success of Shakespeare staging conditions, creating a diverse cultural and educational program at the AGC, which is not just Shakespeare. It's Shakespeare and contemporary dance. It's Shakespeare and comedy. It's Shakespeare and concerts. All of those things can take place at the Globe. You know, a lot of artists like to play unplugged. The Globe is an amazing venue for that. You know, we can have John Mayer come in and play the Globe in the evening on acoustic. It would be pretty wild. So all of that together, and then you pick Norwich as the place to land this ship, right? We have the draw of the city. We have the draw of all of the surrounding businesses. We know there are folks who are already coming here, and we're seeing your supporting businesses around you, the casinos and such, saying, we need more. We need more family entertainment. We need to create a water park. We need to create an amusement center. Well, now you guys have a cultural outlet that's coming and saying, let's set this up here in town. And it all comes back to that mission, right? We want to change things. We want to help create a wave of growth here on the backs of all of these interesting and proven ideas. So let's get to the dollars and cents a little bit, because I'm sure you're all wondering, great, this is all a great idea. What happens next? So when people come here, they're going to come to take advantage of everything that I just mentioned in Norwich and get to see multiple shows over a weekend. You could probably come and see 5 or 6 shows in one weekend and do all the other things that Norwich has to offer. You can take advantage of the other arts, you can take advantage of the other theaters, you can go to all the amazing restaurants, and there will be many more to come once we set this up. But we're creating a complete experience, right? Folks aren't going to come for just a piece of what we're trying to build. We need them to come to all of it at the same time, because we want them to be able to go see Romeo and Juliet in the afternoon in the Globe and then go see West Side Story that night, maybe with the same cast playing those parts. That's part of the experience of the AGC. So it is a lofty project to build. We're aware of that. The overall budget, $9 million of which is dedicated to a restaurant, is $109 million. That might sound like a big number, but I don't think you folks might think that necessarily, because you understand what the cultural and arts investment space is like right now. Just a couple other projects that are on the table right now. University of Mary Washington Theater, $117 million for their new theater. David Geffen just gave $150 million to Yale so that they could build something in Yale. And the Buffalo Art Museum, a $230 million expansion project. Municipalities are seeing the value of investing in arts projects. And we have folks right here in town that are helping us along that path. The beauty of stepping away from Stratford, and I'll just mention quickly what happened there. Most of you are aware that there was a fire at the American Shakespeare Festival Theater in Stratford. It had been there for decades and decades. It was very successful through the 50s, 60s, 70s, kind of fell off in the 80s because they had that financial issue. The theater was left sitting, and folks were trying to figure out what to do, and eventually a couple high school kids took it into their own hands to figure out the solution. They broke into it, and they burnt it down. So while that was tragic, it gave us an opportunity to find something new to do with the space. And I saw the theater from my bedroom window, burned down. I live blocks away. But I remember that Jim, my colleague, had always wanted to build this 1614 globe. And I reached out to him, and I was amazed at how quickly he was like, let's do it. And we gave all of this information to Stratford, and this was the answer we got from Stratford. It's too much tourism. It's too much tourism. It's too big for us. We can't handle that many people coming to town. And I think that's a lack of creativity, perhaps, but the beauty of what those folks did was they hooked us up with a number of state representatives who were able to turn us on to Norwich in a big way. We went and had a meeting with probably about 12 different people from the state government, including Rachel Lenda, who is quoted here, and Rachel's immediate thought was, Kevin, you gotta talk to Kevin Brown. Kevin's the guy. He's gonna love this project, he's gonna see the potential, and Norwich can benefit from this. So Rachel said that, this is an incredible opportunity for Connecticut tourism, and we have a place where history, art, and live performance are coming together to create something truly special right here in our state, one-of-a-kind destination. We took that thinking to Kathy Austin, and her response was to draft a bill for us for $3 million to go to NCDC to start our process here and get us into the beginning phases of what we can accomplish. And she wants to provide funding to support the American Globe Center to create a unique cultural and tourism hub in Norwich. And Kevin, you guys know how well-spoken Kevin is, and I'm sure he'll have another opportunity to chat about us to you all. But Kevin understands what the draw can be here. It's not just about the dollars and cents. It's about bringing outreach. It's about bringing heritage. It's creating educational and enrichment opportunities here in Norwich for everyone. I will tell you this. I've heard a lot of stories from kids that grew up in Stratford about how impactful having that theater in Stratford was when they were growing up. It gave them pride. It gave them pride in their hometown. We want to bring that here too. I'm sure people already have it, but we want to magnify that. So, I mentioned this a little bit before. Why invest in this? Cultural tourists bring good money. They stay longer, they eat better, they drink better, and they generally want a longer vacation experience with more different dimensions to what they can do. So we know that folks that come to town are going to want to eat at the finest restaurants, and they're going to want to see as many shows as they can. There are several people in this room who have already talked tonight about going to other places to go see theater, going to Stratford, Ontario. I went to Stratford, Ontario on a Tuesday afternoon, and I saw a matinee of The Merry Wives of Windsor, which is not necessarily Shakespeare's most popular play. It was packed to the gills. People are traveling for these experiences, and there's really nothing up here other than Broadway that offers them that. You can go to Goodspeed and see an amazing show, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. They do great work. But you can come here and you can see 6 shows, and you can eat in some of the best restaurants in Eastern Connecticut. This is our chance to transform this side of the state and make it really something special. So I want to speak quickly. Jim, do you want to just speak to Stanton for a second?
Just a real quick thing, that proof of concept of what we're talking about a Colossus. This is a big project. The proof of concept is what I did in Stanton, Virginia. In the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia is the Blackfriars Playhouse. That is the world's only recreation of Shakespeare's indoor theater. Nobody's heard of that one. He had an indoor theater in addition to the Globe. And so my old company and I built that, and as you can see from the numbers on there, within 17 years, we doubled the economic impact of tourism on that small town in Stanton, Virginia, and that's with a place that was only 300 seats. Our Globe will seat and stand 900, and our indoor main stage will have between 900 and 1,000 seats, and our black box will have between 100 and 200. So we're talking about a lot more seats for this bigger project to bring in even more people. And I just point to my old company and that my old theater, in part because the first time I came here to Norwich, it feels so much like Stanton, Virginia did 25 to 30 years ago. There is so much that has already started to happen here in Norwich. What happened in Stanton is economic development had just started. That wave had just begun. And we came in, and with only 300 seats, we created a tsunami of economic development. And so we know that this idea, which is much bigger, will work in part because of how that theater has thrived in Virginia. So
It's like a tag team from the WWF here. So let's talk a little bit about the money, okay? Because I think it's important that we're all up front as we move through this. The difference between our model and many others that are out there is that we are actually bringing on investors who will receive a return on their investment. This is not an ask for large angel donors. Folks are going to come in, and that's about $37.5 million of our raise is designed to get those folks in, and it's an impact investment. No one's going to get rich on the project, but they do get paid their money back plus over a 10-year period of the first 10 years of the company operating. Then we're going to rely on the New Markets Tax Credit Program here in Norwich. The nice part about being on the move and growing is that sometimes it does give us access to additional funds on the federal side that as of right now are still there and still available to us. There are some great CDIs that we want to work with locally, and we think we can really move the needle there too. And then, as I mentioned, we do have a state tax bond on the table for us to pick up as well. That bill was submitted, I believe, 3 weeks ago, and we're going to be talking to the delegation. And we're also going to be talking to the governor soon about the project as well. And we want to say to the governor, Norwich is a go, right? So that he feels confident that we can come here and get started. We have a 3-year construction plan, as Jim mentioned earlier. We'd love to open on Shakespeare's birthday in 2028, which is April 23rd. It's aggressive. It's aggressive. But if we don't start with that kind of aggressiveness, we might not ever get rolling as aggressively as we'd like to. You know, it can be very easy to have these things just float around for a long time. We know that we could start raising as soon as we get a go-ahead from a community. And, you know, it's important that the municipality is on board because we kind of learned the hard way in Stratford because we had folks that wanted to get involved, that were ready to invest, and then Stratford bailed out. And you can't burn your investors too often, right, before they start to go, well, is this ever going to happen? So it's very important to us that we know that we're all, as a community, in alignment as we move forward, and that we know we can potentially put this together. So plan year 1 is construction and raising $40 million. Again, that starts tonight. Do we have a lead on a lot of that money? Yes. But we would have to get that buy-in from everybody before we can move forward. Plan year 2 is continuing construction, and then we'd like to, finish up in the 3rd year. I want to show you guys the exciting part, which is what this could potentially look like. And again, this is completely visionary. So if there's any buildings that you're like, well, that's my building, don't get upset. We just want to talk through it. There are a few parcels downtown that we would like to acquire, and we'll talk about that. So the original footprint that we were looking at is what you're seeing on the screen here. It did include the 101 Water Street parking deck, which is no longer part of our targeted area because we believe that it has changed hands. If it becomes available, we can certainly make it part of the campus. The challenge, as everyone's aware of down there, is that the floodplain is an issue. So we have had our architectural partners look into this, and what they've suggested is actually raising the area to terrace above the flood line there. So there would still be the Heritage Trail would go and have a river walk along the bottom, but there'd be steps up to a plateau on which the Globe and the Performing Arts Center would sit. So essentially, I just want to mention quickly that our design partners are, they're on board with us at the moment, but we're going to plan on probably doing a larger scale design contest of some kind to really get people fired up about what we can build here. But this design element is just a starter. It's just something to give us to look at. And what this designer wanted to do was tie in the timber frame Globe, which is going to be built by Peter McCurdy, which Jim can talk about in a little while longer. Peter built the Globe in London and wants to come here and build the Globe here. So he's really excited about this project. But we wanted the Performing Arts Center to also evoke the feeling of the Globe as well. So they've created a large timber frame roof that would be an overhang that sits over a plaza that would keep folks out of the elements. So that cross-hatched area that you're seeing there is that overhang. And then you can see that the globe sits right up on the hill, a little bit south, I guess, of where the octagonal building is on the hill right now. And then this is some renderings of what that could actually look like. So in the first drawing, you're really standing right on Water Street, looking down through the heart of the campus, seeing the globe in the forefront, and then the Performing Arts Center with the overhang and roof. And then you're a little higher up the hill, a little closer to where we are now, looking down in the second picture. And the third picture is being down roughly on the water or just across the water, looking up at the campus. So these are just some conceptual ideas. So, been through a lot of information, and we know there's going to be questions. We wanted to talk briefly about what you guys can do, and then Jim's going to talk a little bit more about what this really all means at the end of the day. We need some help on real estate. There are a number of parcels in that downtown footprint, and we would like to acquire those. We do need to fundraise into some of that acquisition, but we can't do that until we know exactly what we're going after and what's available and what's not. We do understand that a lot of these things are moving targets. We're all trying to do 35 projects at all times. So we understand that, but we want us to work together to try to figure out what is actually accessible and what isn't. We would love your support with the bond. So if we do bring the delegation to town, we'd love to have any one of you be able to talk to them and say, we're good to go. Senator Austin, I am to this day amazed at how quickly she said yes. I was floored. You know, we expected a long pitch process, and we spoke to her, and actually, the only person I would put in that same bucket is you, Mayor Pete. You were right there to say, we love it, let's bring it to town. So Senator Austin immediately put the bill on the floor, so we're really excited about that. We also want to talk to anybody in the area, and not even in the immediate area, the extended area, that might be interested in being involved in some way, whether financial, whether creating influencer support, whatever the case may be. We know that you folks are connected to people who are connected, and we'd love to carry that forward and get to talk to some of those people. We're open to any meeting at any time. Jim has actually moved to Norwich so that he can spend time here and be with folks. I live right over in Stratford, and I'm happy to be here anytime too. So if there's anybody you can think of that would be of help to the project, we'd love to have them. On the fundraising side, you know, we do have what we're calling our 1614 kickoff prospectus. It's cute, right? It's $1,614,000 that is designed to just do the early stuff, the planning, the feasibility, the design elements, even potentially build a piece of the globe somewhere on, you know, down by the park or something, so that people get an idea of what they're going to be able to come and experience. And the most important thing that we can ask of you is passion for the project. You know, I think that we have clearly seen in our journey how beneficial this can be to a community, financially, culturally, from an education perspective, and we want you to all feel that. We want you to come along on that mission with us. And there's a lot of things to be skeptical about in any kind of project like this, and we get that. But we're going to work with you to help solve those problems and try to figure out what our next steps can be to make this a reality for all the citizens of Norwich. So Jim, I'm going to let you close up.
Well, and I'm just going to say briefly that this is a big project, a transformational project, and we not only think that it can help all of us while we're here, but our children's children and their children too. This is something that is generational, that could be transformative for many generations to come. So thank you for listening to us. We'd love to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Kevin, is there anything you want to conclude with it?
No, sir, I think Q&A.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back for
Color me intrigued.
I like that color on you.
So, I didn't wear green today, but I don't know. I mean, I remember as a child going to the Stratford Theater, you know, so I mean, that was like the mandatory field trip. All the, you know, most of the kids in town, I think, probably made at least one run out there, you know. So I know I got to see a couple of productions there, but and it's, you know, its end, you know, was kind of sad, and I certainly would love to see an opportunity like this come to fruition, you know, but as is, the devil's in the details and how it all comes out, of course, you know, so I'm certainly interested in exploring this myself, and look forward to that opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So thank you very much for the presentation, and just like Jim is the art guy, you are the number guy. I am combination of both. So I've supported the projects in town related to art, cultural, especially educational projects. So this is combination of all of it. So morally, I'm in support of this. But when it comes to numbers, I think we will definitely have to see more in detail.
Sure.
Also, another question, big question is, what do you think is the return on investment? Because I don't know if you can tell that or not, but that, people wanted to know to make sure
Oh,
their
yes.
investments are safe.
Absolutely.
As
It's between
well.
8 and 11% on, as a return on the investment. It's tiered based on how much you invest.
And what do you think is average ticket price? Over $100?
Oh, no, not at all. The design of this is to be as affordable as possible. You'll be able to see a show in the Globe for $10.
Okay.
It's like in London, they have standing seats. They have standing areas where you can be a groundling and watch the show from right up next to the stage. They're sometimes the best seats in the house, but our max ticket price is $60 in the front row of the Performing Arts Center. Our tickets for the Globe, I think, top out at $45. We want this to be something that families can do.
Definitely. I want to make sure it's not just limited to the tourist, which
Oh, of
I
course.
love tourism, I always wanted to make sure Norwich become a place for tourism and all the roads leads to Norwich, but I want to make sure community also have opportunity to enjoy
We
the
think
asset
that's
we will
essential.
have.
We think that's essential, and we have different plans already in place to be able to partner with the schools in Norwich to have low-cost and/or free tickets. We want kids growing up in Norwich to say, "This is my theater. This is where I go and hang out." And so part of the reason the project is so big is that we can keep the ticket prices down because of the bulk, because of how many tickets we're selling. Also, because of Shakespeare's staging conditions, it's not about building huge sets that are trying to be movies on stage. It's about creating theater of the imagination, which also allows us to spend money differently that keeps the tickets affordable. Theater sucks in our country right now because it is too overpriced. It is an elitist, it's dying because only rich people are going to the theater. And we need a revolution in that industry, and we want to be on the forefront of that.
Okay, and I really like the analogy of a parallel universe close to the Thames. My brother actually lives in UK, so I'll definitely will visit the one in London, hopefully this year.
I love that.
But my other thing is I want to make sure there is some kind of collaborations. Of course, we cannot really force anyone between the casinos and the theater. Again, I want to make sure all roads leads to Norwich, and there are a lot of tourism that goes there anyways, so they can also promote this asset if we're gonna have it here, and of course we can do the same thing for them as well.
What I love about that is that, the bus trip mentality of a whole group of folks going from New York City or Pennsylvania to the casinos, stopping and seeing a show on the way is a perfect fit. And we've already spoken to the casinos at some, we haven't spoken to Foxwoods as much, but Kevin has connected us with some folks at Mohegan, and they're really intrigued about what we're talking about building too, because they're working on their individual project to bring more entertainment as well. So we think we can really partner with them effectively.
Okay, and definitely, that will help the restaurants local and the boutique hotels and maybe short-term rentals. We still have to create some regulations for that, but that's also another business which is booming, So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Other members? Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes, good evening, you two, and it was good to see the both of you again. I was afraid after our first meeting of a small group that you might want to pick up and look elsewhere, but thank you for continuing to look at Norwich. And like Mark said, growing up, it was a place, the Shakespeare at Stratford was a destination place where all of us went to learn Shakespeare after reading his plays. But I do want to talk about, we do have several local theaters that are really and Senator Austin has helped them secure funding to renovate their buildings, and they are putting on productions. I mean, they are expanding opportunities and bringing in people from Norwich, and they keep their prices reasonable. And they're also now working on making Norwich and their theaters, as well as downtown, a destination place. How would you envision working with our, at least 2 local theaters downtown? And we also have some other theatrical companies. How do you envision working with them so they don't get pushed out?
We think that we're just going to increase their audience, that people are going to come looking for theater. We're going to help promote them, and hopefully they'll promote us, but we want to point people who are coming to us to them as well. And we want to work, we've already done some workshops with Chestnut Street, and we've done a couple of shows there already. And so we've already started that relationship of trying to figure out how can we be of service to y'all. And so the sky's the limit with we don't want to displace them, we want to help them.
So the other theater is Norwich Arts Center.
Yep.
Right.
And similar to your concept, it's a center. It's,
Right.
it's the big, so the only thing is I'm going to caution is not make the mistake I think we made when the casinos, and this is not knocking the casinos, but made the mistake that we made, people that come to visit the casinos are going to come to Norwich and want to see our city and want to go to our theaters and going to go, and that didn't happen. So I guess I'm going to encourage you. I'm not trying to put you on the difficult spot tonight, but I'm going to encourage you to really sit down and have the dialogue with the current boards of at least like our 2 anchor theaters and art galleries, that are here. Because I think it's important that we know that they feel that inclusiveness
Right.
into this, because they've stuck it out
Right.
all these years,
Yes.
okay? And that's important to many of us. Without those 2, you wouldn't be probably standing here talking to us, because there'd be no market, because the theaters wouldn't have existed. So that's my ask of you.
That's a great ask, Alderwoman Hayes. And I think I can say, without caveat, we will be advertising for them in anything that's like our playbills will have their shows in them. We want that rising tide for everybody. We want to bring more people who love theater to town and encourage them to hit up everything they can and help those theaters grow too. Because this could become the theater destination in the country at the end of the day if all of these companies grow up. The Shaw Festival, George Bernard Shaw Festival, is right next to the Stratford Festival for Shakespeare, and they had a competitive relationship at the beginning, and then they're like, well, wait a minute, if we work together, we can double our revenue, and they did. So we're gonna try to have sort of passport systems that will encourage people to go to other shows. They'll get discounts for us if they see other theaters. And we're also going to try to build that passport with the Globe in London and Stratford, Ontario as well. So you can kind of punch your card at all the Globes and stuff. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of ways to lift all boats for sure.
Thank you. Then my other question I have is, I didn't hear you talk tonight so much about the educational opportunities that are available, and especially for an area that it's not just our high schools, it's not just our colleges. We need to talk about real careers for young people and people coming into this area. We're getting more and more people moving to the area. So can you talk about the educational opportunity?
Education is woven into the fabric of who we are, from summer camps to internships to visits to schools to groups coming to us, that the amount of, gosh, what's the right word? The number of students impacted from the work that I did with only 300 seats at the Blackfriars was enormous. That there are so many opportunities for us to be in those schools in addition to the schools coming to us. And from Shakespeare to the tech side of things inside of the indoor playhouse, all of the different jobs that we will have there we have the opportunity to have mentor systems and hit students where they are with all kinds of real-world experience while they are learning. So we want to do a lot with students.
And older students as well. We'd also like to partner with a university to offer really specialized MFA programs and technical programs that don't require a bachelor's that you might not be able to get other places. Because what we do is really unique. We want to teach other people how to do what we do so that theater gets better all over the country.
Which also includes teaching teachers how to not have Shakespeare so that their students don't have Shakespeare. And that's the ripple effect of being able to do Shakespeare like this and help folks teach Shakespeare like this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other members? President Pro Tem, please.
I'll be brief. First of all, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Your passion about this is perfectly clear, right? And exudes out of you, and I think that that's wonderful. Also, thank you for your preparation. We sit through a lot of informationals, and you've done a great job in terms of your homework, so to speak, and presenting this clearly. I do have one question. Why Norwich and not a place that's already more tourist-based like Mystic?
I'll speak to the fact that we brought up Mystic to Rachel Enda when we were first speaking with her, and she said, you know what, they're good. You know, they have enough people coming to town. And she again referenced Kevin. And Kevin, you know, I'm not going to blow too much smoke here, but we have really enjoyed working with him and the scale of vision that he brings to the table. So when you say why Norwich, he's a big piece of the puzzle. But the other piece of the puzzle is a lot what Jim was talking about, that both of us, in walking around town, can very clearly see what our project could bring to the table and how it could help what's already amazing just get better and better. And you do have tourism, you know, ostensibly nearby that we'd like to pivot if we can. But moreover, it's just the welcome that we've received here and the spirit of its people makes it seem like it could be a great fit. And the heart, because you just mentioned the heart we bring to this, the heart that I've seen from everyone. Alderwoman Hayes, when she came to see our last informational, she was involved in the show, and afterwards she had brilliant questions, and she cares about the student. Like, the care is evident, and I'm not trying to speak badly about any other municipalities, but we've seen some where that engagement doesn't even seem to be there. So seeing this and your involvement and being willing to put the time in tonight is a tremendous sign that we found the right home.
I want to shuck some of that blame. It's important to note, I think, that not only Rachel, but Liz Shapiro from the Office of Fine Arts at DECD, and Melinda Wilson, who runs the Community Investment Fund program at DECD, that triad, and maybe a few more folks, you said there were 12 that you spoke to, but those three folks as a small group of individuals are what sent them here. And there's an implicit signal there, I think, other than the fact that Mystic's good, they got enough. I think what your state-level staffers are acknowledging and trying to continue is the momentum that we're building here, and they thought that this would be a good place for that to happen.
Spot on. Yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap up my thoughts. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Question, the schedule for raising funds is very aggressive. Should that aggressiveness not prove to bear fruit, what's your contingency?
That's a great question, Mayor. From my perspective, as I mentioned, we feel like we need to launch the entire project in one shot. So we're sort of approaching it from a bit of an escrow perspective. You know, getting the parcels involved, locked in, has got to be step one so that we can grow into that. And at least the organization has those assets on the books if for some reason we needed to offset them or offlay them. But it's aggressive intentionally, and you know, we want to push ourselves into it. If it takes more time, it takes more time. But you know, we've both been going at this arts thing for a very long time in our careers, and we would like to make Norwich our next and you know, probably longest chapter. And in order to do that, we have to fight hard for this project, and we do believe in it very strongly, and we think we can get other people to come along with us. It's about sourcing those funds and finding the right people. You know, we have a lot of really unique and interesting connections in the entertainment world. I'm having a meeting this week with a gentleman who's produced some of the biggest Broadway shows I'm sure you're all familiar of. He wants to talk more about what he can be doing. Every time we have one of these meetings, somebody says, hey, I know somebody. Let me get you on the phone with them. And, you know, it's gonna come. I also think if we can find the right CDE, the new market tax credits piece can move us along much quicker. And that's an advantage that we have in certain areas that we wouldn't have in every municipality. So that's helpful as well.
Thank you. Our city manager has a question, please.
Can you clarify a little more about the $3 million proposal by the legislature at this point?
Sure.
Exactly what is that and what's the status of it?
So Senator Austin, just in the beginning of this session, put a bill on the floor that is designed to bring $3 million to NCDC in support of building the American Globe Center here. The bill is very short. That's basically what it says. And the delegation that she brought it to the floor with are all in support of having the theater here in Norwich as well, or the center, I should say. And you know, how those funds are deployed is sort of something that we'd have to iron out with NCDC. That money's probably not going to show up for a while because it's going to be tied up in the state government probably until at least, Kevin, what do we say, next May, April?
We hope September.
September would be great if they can finish it by then. So if it's September, it could be a big part of acquiring the parcels that we'd like to acquire to get started.
The way the bill is worded, it's really vague, and that's good and bad.
Yeah, I kind of looked at and I couldn't really follow it that way.
Part of what in the meeting that we had before the senator put the bill on there, she said, how much do you need to get this rolling? And we were talking about the land purchasing up front, that nothing else happens until we're able to lock in where are we going to build this. And so we said that $2 to $3 million would allow us to lock up the land, we thought, and get fundraising started. And she said, okay, I'll work on that. So she didn't put that specifically in the bill, but that's what we think is the highest priority.
And parcel-wise, sir, that would be 101 Water Street, the octagonal building on the top of the hill that the doctor owns, and then the 2 law offices. We understand that the parking garage, we have to discuss as a group and figure out what's happening with that piece of property. But that's part of our goal territory as well, if we could.
So it is proceeding through the legislative process?
Correct.
As we speak?
Yes.
Then, at this point? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good, because then you would also use that for some administrative expenses, obviously.
That would be great.
Fundraising is not free,
Right.
actually.
And we want to be able to go to folks and say, we've got this bill on the floor, and we want to be able to say the Norwich City Council is really excited about this. We want to be able to leverage each piece to help other folks get on board. Nobody wants to be the first. But now that we've got that bill going, that bill can count as the first, and hopefully getting y'all excited about it allows you to be another piece of the puzzle that will make folks think, yes, I do want to write you that big check, or invest and get my money back as part of the program that Tom talked about.
We'll take it either way.
I'm the boring guy who has to get involved with the numbers.
No, I love the
stuff.
numbers.
So,
Huge. It's
You know, I will give you an anecdote that lets you know how much we take it seriously. We originally have a capital project of about $2 million to do the garage, complete renovation of the garage.
Right.
And I stopped that when we started talking
Thank you.
to you and indirectly through Kevin. And so now it's only going to be kind of cosmetic improvements to things that need to be done. So that would be the worst thing to do, is to spend $2 million on a garage that may not be there anymore. So we needed to kind of put the brakes on that. And so at least unilaterally, I could do that. And
Thank you.
at this point, we've done that to kind of show that we're interested and to put these pieces together slowly.
We love Norwich and we want it to happen here. If you tell us to go pack sand and go do it somewhere else, I so encourage you to use that $2 million to take that garage down and let somebody else come in and do something with it, because it's just not the good place for a parking garage. There's so many other things that could be there. We think it should be part of the American Globe Center campus.
And lastly, I think you're going to find that, we understand that there are wrinkles, right? There always are. We have a beautiful mural on the side of that building. We have parking that we have to figure out where we're going to offset that parking. We are naturally problem solvers. We want to work with you guys on those things and be like, what can we do? How can we figure it out? So I think it's an exciting place to jump in.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Just concluding, January, I met with Jim Amon, who is the paid lobbyist who's representing your interests there in Hartford. Years ago, we served together, so it was nice to see an old friend. He was very enthusiastic about it. There are a lot of issues in Hartford, and you say the bill's generic. That's generally how they start out, particularly a request like that. They will be probably looking for greater detail before they vote on it. In fact, I can guarantee that. And they'll need that detail, so stand ready for the request.
Ready and waiting, sir.
I am sorry that it's almost 7:30. We need to conclude for that reason. And then the meeting itself is scheduled to start at 7:30. But I appreciate you coming back. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And your enthusiasm is catchy.
Great. Thank you.
And I live here now, so I'm happy to have coffee with anybody who wants to talk about this. Anybody else that you know that you would like to have a chat with, I'd love to.